Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a Fresh Stories Book Chats, which is one of my favorite segments for a little girl that grew up reading books nonstop. To be able to sit and talk to authors and writers is literally a dream come true. So we have somebody here today. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we get to chat about her book. So, I'm going to say mystery reader, like in kindergarten. Who are you? Who are you?
Ooh, the suspense. Hi, I'm Jackie Gorelick. I'm a writer. I live in California, and my forthcoming memoir is my debut. It's called Map of a Heart, a memoir of love, loss, and finding the way home. And it comes out February 17th with Vine Leaves Press, and it's available for pre-order now in all the book places.
Amazing. I was looking at the cover and I'm like, this is definitely a book I would have read. How come I haven't read it? And then I realized it's not out yet.
It's not
So
out
that's why I was like, I
yet.
haven't read this yet, but it's definitely something I would read and buy.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of memoirs. What is this about, Jackie?
So this story is kind of a braid of the two most devastating periods of my life. One being when I was 8 years old, I lost my mother, and kind of the ripple effects of that loss on my childhood, sending it into kind of rootless chaos and resulting in estrangement from most of my family of origin. And so growing up from that, wanting to build some sort of normalcy and stable existence and family life, I finally found, a partner, got married, we had a baby. And when our son was 9 weeks old, my husband and I took him to a jogging trail. And while my husband was jogging ahead and I was walking with the stroller, his heart stopped. My husband's heart stopped off the baby. And he collapsed on the trail and ended up in the ICU in a coma. So the story is kind of about the juxtaposition of finding this new glimpse of normalcy and family life and having it, you know, possibly decimated again, and how I coped with that in the hospital and the people who showed up for me to support me while I was waiting to find out the, outcome for my husband.
A really lighthearted book, Jackie.
It is.
Um, okay, so many questions. First of all, now I'm like, okay, I can't wait to read this. This sounds like so up my alley of memoirs. Um, I have so many questions. I haven't written a memoir, but it's like on my to-do list for my life someday. What is it like? What is the process there? Like, did you go to therapy to unlock some of this stuff? Like, how does one write a memoir?
So I probably should have. I, I had some really good instructors. When I started taking, I was a teacher before this, an elementary school teacher. And when I left teaching, I started taking writing classes and I took a memoir class with Rachel Herron, who is amazing and highly recommend. And, she had advice of giving yourself grace, taking those breaks as you need it. And obviously, with any time that you're excavating something that's traumatic, that's always a good thing to do. And so I think I tried to follow that. And I really did write in fits and spurts. My kids were young. And so I would steal moments wherever I could to do it. And so maybe that was a natural way to chunk it in time that I could kind of handle and come up for air. I didn't write it linearly. I mean, there are definitely parts that I did, and then there were some scenes and chapters that I knew I needed to wait and have the headspace for that because I knew they were gonna kind of
Yeah.
undo me. So, I guess I
Yeah.
would recommend giving yourself the latitude to make a structure for writing time that allows yourself, support your mental health and your headspace and take breaks, go on walks, do things that you love in between.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you uncover while you were writing, what did you uncover about yourself while you were writing this book? Like, because obviously something must have come up.
I uncovered that there was a lot that I remembered that was accurate. I think we doubt ourselves, especially when we have chaos in childhood. And I know accurate by saying that, it doesn't mean like my brother would remember everything exactly the same as I did, or my father, or, anyone else in my life. I know we all have our own way of kind of caching those memories away. But in terms of checking with photographs and locations and details, and then even with the medical events in the hospital, I was like, oh, it was validating, I suppose, in a way. My childhood feels like someone shook up a snow globe, so trying to grab those pieces and then have some of them anchored down, it felt validating, and it felt like almost like, oh, yes, I was here. This is proof of this. This did occur.
That's interesting. Almost like I did exist, right, in this time and space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so you were a mother, you have multiple kids while you were writing this book?
I did. Yes. Too.
Yes. That's hard. I know that just from the little bit of writing I do. Did writing a book about the loss of your mother change anything about the way that you mothered your children?
I think that the part of losing my mother, even though I hadn't really explored it in such depth as I did when I wrote this book, I think it did shape my motherhood already before I wrote it, which was kind of the catalyst for this whole event being so formative when my husband was in the hospital, because I did have this already grasp that life is not promised and that we live in the moments that make up our day is our life. And hopefully we get more. And that's, maybe
Yeah.
um, kind of a dismal way to look at things, but it's really how I always have. And so I think I already knew that, but in looking back at this, I think I had more empathy for my younger self and seeing my kids in real time, like at the ages that I was when I was going through some of these things, and realizing the weight that I held and the expectations of me to be making good decisions and mature and all of these things, do well in school. And, I had a little bit more empathy for my younger self
Yeah.
writing this.
I was gonna ask, what would you say to the eight-year-old you know, if you look back and said, "We got through this and we wrote a book about this," like, what would that be like? Like, what would she think of that?
Oh, I think, first of all, I lived in a very off, I would know what certainly wasn't off grid, but we didn't have television. We had to move an antenna to get shows to come in. I was a real book reader and list music and books were everything, and
Mm,
imaginative play and being out in the woods. And so I think the idea that I would write a book and have a book would feel, exciting, to younger me
yeah,
and kind of unimaginable, I think.
I love that, I love that. So, as somebody that loves music, what music informed you while you were writing this book?
I listen to a lot of songs on repeat for certain scenes. I found that music is a real kind of, it taps into certain emotions for me, and certain songs will do it almost immediately. And so I had a playlist, and for certain parts of the book, I probably still associate them with certain songs. So, I listen to Bon Iver, I listen to Brandy Carlisle, I listened to Ingrid Michaelson. There were just certain
Mm,
songs, from certain periods in my life that matched kind of those periods for me. And
love
so
that.
there were certain songs that I would just loop when I would go back into that chapter.
I love that, very hypnotic.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you want people to take away from this memoir?
I think for me, what I would really hope is that anyone who grew up feeling kind of rootless and disconnected from their family of origin and grew up wanting to build something on their fractured foundation that resembled more normalcy and more stability. Um, I think for me, feeling that way in my life, there was a lot of shame around it. Because even though we're evolving as a culture and we're becoming more open-minded and accepting, I think there are still those situations we're in, whether it's work or social situations where people don't know what to do with somebody who can't answer the question, where do your parents live? Or what do you do for Thanksgiving? Or and so there's a lot of shame around that. And so I really would hope that this book would provide a lens to see through where you can let go of that, like, you know, having the events that happened in the hospital and having all of my friends show up for me made me realize that I can move forward, and I have the strength to do this, to rebuild a life kind of in the image of what family means to me. And so
Hmm.
I guess I would want that to resonate with other people who maybe come from rootless childhoods or disjointed backgrounds where they didn't find belonging, and they're looking to find belonging and let go of some of that shame. I mean, kind of looping back to your question about 8-year-old me, I would tell her, "You're not broken. This doesn't define who you can become." Because at times it feels that way when you're going through it, I think.
Yeah, and, like, I love this idea that you just said of, especially thinking about the hospital and the people that showed up for you, illustrating for your readers that it's okay to ask for support and accept support, and that you are allowed to build that community however you want to build that family around you.
Yes. And I think that one thing I've learned, it's not in the book, but just in researching this and in thinking about these time periods in my life, is that kind of a coping mechanism for kids who have to deal with a lot of disrupt is to be overly independent and to not ask for help because it feels safe to think I can do all of this without anybody. And so, really softening over the years and learning that it's okay. This is how you rebuild. So, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I don't know anything about that or anything, but yeah. No, I appreciate all of that. I'm so excited to read this. So where can people pre-order the book and tell us all the good stuff?
So it's available for pre-order through Vine Leaves Press and also pretty much wherever books are sold. Barnes and Noble bookshop. You can order it at your local bookstore. And yeah, it comes out February 17th. And I'm on, you know, socials at all the places, Instagram and Facebook and Threads.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited to read this, and I know that, one of the things we talk about a lot here is how your pain, right, in life, your stories become the guidebooks for other people, right? That's what makes us human. That's what makes us alive. That's what makes us connected. And so I'm really excited. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of other memoirs that are, about certain things and like, oh, it reminds me of this memoir a little bit and of this memoir. And it's like we all have these connections, but our stories are unique. And so I'm really excited to read it. Can you tell us the name of the book one more time so we can search it online?
Oh, sure. It's Map of a Heart. I have it here, but I realize I have it there too. Map of a Heart, a memoir of love, loss, and finding the way home.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. Thank you.